What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here. We're live for some Monday evening quarterback. Now, I don't know if it's just going to be me solo tonight. Robert might come by. I know Jeremy's got a couple things to take care of, but we weren't going to miss the last Monday evening quarterback of the season because that's basically what this is going to be. As you guys know, every single Monday of this NFL season, whether it was playoffs, whatever, we sat here and we recapped everything that happened on Sunday and, all of the games in between, whether there was a Thursday game, Saturday game, whatever it may be. This is going to be the last time because we had the Super Bowl yesterday, which, like most Super Bowls, started off slow. It happens. It's a tendency. And then by the end, really ramped up. And even though maybe it's not the most exciting, there was definitely a lot of tension coming down to the wire. A score in the last 2 minutes. Joe Burrow, could he take the Bengals down and, complete another comeback? A lot of questions, but ultimately the Rams take home the hardware. So the Rams in LA become the second team to win on their home field after I think Tampa did it last year. So, and there's always going to be the NFL's rigged people. That's going to happen. And of course, we are going to talk a little bit about the officiating down the stretch. I think that if the NFL was rigged, there's no way in hell Cincinnati would ever have been in this Super Bowl. I also think if they wanted the Rams to win, there's no way they would have missed a clear face mask offensive penalty on T. Higgins in that opening touchdown. Like, that was obvious. That was obvious in real-time speed that it should have been a penalty when Jalen Ramsey kind of gets thrown to the ground and they go for that opening touchdown. Didn't get called. I don't know how you explain that if, the refs were just supposed to make sure the Rams won it, but it is what it is. We'll talk about all of it. But how is everybody doing today? Burrow is lucky he didn't tear his other good ACL. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Boomerson. I mean, it was a face mask for sure, but also at the same time, I think you could have argued offensive pass interference, because he grabbed him and did kind of forcibly take him out of the way while the ball was in the air, while he had a chance to make a play on that ball. So anyway, we did already get a super chat from Stone Cold's Beer Cooler for $9.99 from a D3 defensive coordinator at John Carroll to linebackers coach for the Rams. My former coach, Chris Shula, won a Super Bowl like his grandpa Don used to do. Congrats to him and the Rams. Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's really cool when you know somebody like that or connected to someone like that gets to achieve something so great. Really cool. That's awesome for Chris Shula. Thank you, Stone Cold Spirit Cool. I appreciate that. And Connor Akers for $5. I feel a little teary-eyed that this is the last Monday evening quarterback of the season. I know, right? I know. It is. It is the last Monday evening quarterback of the season. Is it offsetting penalties? Well, no, but I'm saying either or, both of them would have been on Cincinnati on that specific play, that like 70-yard touchdown to open up the second half. And I agree, maybe it was a makeup call in the same way that I think that Cooper Kupp holding that got called was probably a makeup call for the clear and obvious pass interference that happened the play before that didn't get called. So let's get that out of the way, right off the bat. Officiating, all right? Officiating is always going to be critical. I thought that the officials, I don't think they blew the whistle nearly enough. They didn't throw nearly enough flags the entire fucking game. The first 58 minutes, it's tough to recall a penalty that occurred. And I don't think that that's the way it should have been called. There were some times where I definitely think they should have blown the whistle. They should have thrown through the flag a couple times. And specifically, my eyes are always on Cooper Kupp because he's one of my favorite players. He was getting held the entire game. The entire game, Cooper Kupp was getting held. The Cincinnati Bengals, they were being very physical. Now, some of the Rams DBs were, specifically Jalen was pretty physical as he normally is. But I just felt like there should have been a lot more flags the first 58 minutes of that game, which I think made the last 2 minutes stand out a lot more. So I think it's fair to be critical of that, really, because you shouldn't just wait to call things until the last 2 minutes. I think there was probably one questionable pass interference call, but I think by the letter law, it definitely was pass interference, but they hadn't been calling it all game. That's the problem. So players adjust to what's being called. And of course, Rams at LA, they get that call. Everyone says it's rigged. Well, there's plenty of things you can look at before and say, well, then why did all these things happen and lead up to this point? But I know. It's just the NFL. It's just rigged. I see Judicons here. I see the Greg saying rigged. Yeah. Stafford Hall of Fame. I think Matthew Stafford will be in the Hall of Fame. That's what I personally think, because he's only like 33. So assuming he plays like 4 more years and racks up more 4,500 yard seasons, the dude has the potential to have 70,000 passing yards and a ring. Very good quarterbacks, or should I say quarterbacks with very good stats that have Super Bowl rings, they make the Super Bowl, or they make the Hall of Fame. That's how it is. So I would not be surprised if Matthew Stafford ends up there. Tom Brown Stafford's not a Hall of Fame as a record under 500. All right, what's Joe Namath's record? Should we look up Joe Namath's record? Hold on. Let's see. Interesting. So Joe Namath played 129 games and only won 62. He has a 48% career winning percentage. That's strange. Saying. So there's obviously some precedence. Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame and has a losing record. Stafford Hall of Fame's purple take. You wait. It's going to happen. He has a ring, man. He has a ring, and he has a lot of numbers. I think you knew that before looking it up. Yeah, I did. But I just wanted to confirm, because every once in a while, I'm wrong. Okay? Every once in a while, I'm wrong. And I see that the stream is, I'm a little fuzzy for some reason. That was weird. What do I think of Eli Manning? I think that Eli Manning will be a Hall of Famer. He has 2 Super Bowl rings. When I say Hall of Fame, I don't necessarily mean that I think someone should or should not be there. Like whether someone should or should not be there isn't necessarily the answer. It's will they get to the Hall of Fame? And what rules are they looking for the Hall of Fame? All these things. And Eli Manning has won 2 Super Bowls, 2 very iconic Super Bowls where he beat Tom Brady both of those times. So regardless of Eli's mediocre stats, he'll be a Hall of Famer. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Stafford would have better numbers if Detroit wasn't such a joke an organization. Maybe, maybe not. I think a lot of Stafford's numbers were racked up when they were playing kind of bad, where he was throwing the ball a lot because they were behind a lot. So you can argue both ways there a little bit. Just kind of depends where you want to approach it from. But with that being said, let's talk about this game a little bit. Let me pull this up. It was not the most exciting game. And if you're looking at first quarters of the Super Bowl, they're almost never very exciting. Both teams typically get off to a little bit of nervous starts. All right, that happens. That happens in the Super Bowl, and that is what we saw. Now, the first score was for Odell Beckham Jr. with 6 minutes left in that first quarter, the pass from Matthew Stafford. And Odell did not stay in this game very long after that. Odell Beckham Jr., I don't know if it's been confirmed that he tore his ACL yet, but as soon as I saw that, I said ACL just because the way he grabbed that leg. I think that's what everyone's assuming at this point. We may have confirmation today or maybe tomorrow. We'll actually get that. I think he's going to be a free agent, so who knows what's going to happen. And then, they did, add a field goal before the first quarter expired. But then Cooper Kupp gets a touchdown, one of his 2 touchdowns on the day, and it looked like the Rams were rolling. Then they missed an extra point, which whenever someone misses an extra point or fumbles an extra point, like whatever may happen, you're always like, will that come back to haunt them? And it very well could have. That missed extra point completely changed the game. Because then, when the Rams come down and they score at the end of the game, they had to score a touchdown. When they were down at the goal line, they couldn't kick a field goal. They had to score a touchdown because they were down by 4 instead of down by 3, which then means that the Bengals had the opportunity to tie the game with the field goal instead of also being required to go down and score a touchdown. So these things always matter. That definitely mattered in this game. That could have, drastically affected, how both teams did play and the strategies when we got down to the end of this. Rams, I always like looking at the win probabilities too. Now, the Rams look good and everything looked like it was going the Rams' way. Odell Beckham got hurt and Matthew Stafford threw a pick with about 2 minutes left in that first half. And you think, I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? But you still felt like they had the momentum. And then, like I said, the first thing we get, T. Higgins, 75-yard pass from Joe Burrow to start the third quarter. All of a sudden, first half doesn't matter. Rams are winning. Just like that. It happened so fucking quick. And I've kind of forgot to talk about this T. Higgins pass too. It wasn't from Joe Burrow, though. It was from Joe Mixon. I think that was Joe Mixon's first career pass attempt for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. How crazy is that? Now, we've seen that multiple times. We saw, I think, Julian Edelman threw a touchdown with the Patriots. Obviously, what's this fucking nuts? Nick Foles caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl not that long ago. I remember Antoine Randall throwing a touchdown for the Steelers, I think, in the victory over the Seahawks that one year. So we see those plays thrown out a little bit every once in a while in the Super Bowl, and that absolutely happened here. At the end of the day, like I said, it all came down to that fourth quarter. And after Odell Beckham went out, they could not get the ball to Cooper Kupp. They were really struggling because he was being double teamed and he was being held. Let's just be real. He was being held because they were letting him play physical. And Cooper Kupp ended up being the only guy who got targeted by Matthew Stafford going down the stretch. And speaking of Cooper Kupp, we have to talk about this dude because the year that he had, in terms of just pure numbers, no wide receiver has ever done something like this before. Ever. To win the Triple Crown, most receiving yards, most touchdowns, most receptions in a year for a wide receiver, to win Offensive Player of the Year, and then to win Super Bowl MVP. There's only one other person who's done that in their fucking career. That's Jerry Rice. Cooper Kupp did it in one season. And that's the Matthew Stafford difference, guys. I know a lot of people are going to want to say, Matthew Stafford just got plugged into a great team. And that team had a ton of talent. They went and got more talent after Matthew Stafford got there. But Cooper Kupp went from being a really good wide receiver, to having the best season we've ever seen a wide receiver have. Granted, he got to play a lot of playoff games. He got to play 17 regular season games. But look at who's closest to him. Most receiving yards in a single season. Cooper Kupp, 2,425. Next closest is Larry Fitzgerald with 1977, and then Jerry Rice with 1965. Like, holy shit, dude. That is nuts. And I've loved Cooper Kupp for a very long time. Cooper Kupp, to me, I've always kept an eye on him because I drafted him either his first or second year. I drafted him in fantasy as a later round pick, and he paid off for me. So, and obviously, if you guys have ever played fantasy football, any time that you draft someone, you're paying more attention to that person, probably for the rest of your life, honestly. That's just how it is. And so Cooper Kupp, I've watched, and I've had him on my fantasy team, or at least one of my fantasy teams, every single year since that point, including this year. Cooper Kupp's probably the reason I won the Sports Wars Fantasy Football League. The dude is fucking good. I've been telling everybody, as good as everyone says and thinks Cooper Kupp is, he's fucking better. He just is. He has such a feel for where he's at on the field. I do not think he has the hands of Jerry Rice. I'll say that. He does not have the hands that Jerry Rice has, for sure. But the way he's able to fake out DBs, the way he's able to get open, the way he's able to field defenses, He is the best wide receiver in the league right now. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the dude's pretty young. What's Cooper Kupp, 26? So he's still got a couple really fucking good years left in him. I heard people comparing him to Jerry Rice, with all this going on. He doesn't have the hands that Jerry had. You can't deny that. But he reminds me a lot of Rice just because of his work ethic. Cooper Kupp is a dude who didn't get a single fucking college scholarship offer coming out of high school. So he ends up going to Eastern Washington. I think he goes to Eastern Washington. And his now wife, they may have been married, may have been fiancé at the time. She worked so that he could do this to live out his dream because his dad and granddad played in the NFL. It's what he wanted to do. Works his ass off. Ends up getting drafted in the 3rd round. And now, a couple years after, is taking home Super Bowl MVP. Now, another man who should be talked about in this Super Bowl MVP, right, is Aaron Donald. Because I think a lot of people may have said Aaron Donald deserved a shot. That first half, Aaron Donald got shut down. I think he had 1 quarterback pressure, I believe, did not have a sack. And then there was one play after that opening drive, when they score that touchdown, the Rams give the ball back on an interception. It was off the hands of a wide receiver since he immediately gets that ball back. And you're thinking, oh man, this could completely turn the tide of this entire thing. Well, Joe Burrow is kind of, drifting out to the left on a bootleg, looking down the field, decides to take off. Aaron Donald beats into the corner, and Joe Burrow is getting ready to step out. Aaron Donald gives him a real good shove out of bounds. And it was legal, completely legal hit, but he was able to get a shot. And there was a scuffle on the sidelines where an offensive lineman came and shoved Aaron Donald. Should probably been a flag. Let's be honest. That should probably have been a flag in a regular game. I'm glad they didn't call that specific one. But, nobody ended up getting flags, but Aaron Donald got pissed. And from that point on, Aaron Donald was a fucking monster. I want to see if we can look at the box score here because I haven't actually looked at Aaron Donald's, defensive numbers here. But yeah, there you go. So he had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for losses in this game and 3 quarterback hits. And even though he only gets those 2 sacks, when you look at the impact that he had after that moment, it was huge. A ton of really big stops when it mattered. A ton of pressure on Joe Burrow that forced him into either bad throws or whatnot, or into a sack from somebody else. Because I don't know if they sacked him in that first half. Look at all these sack numbers, 7 sacks when it was all said and done by all these guys. Von Miller had 2 sacks, who they brought in the middle of the season. They traded from Denver. But Aaron Donald was a monster to me, I thought, in that second half of the game. So I think MVP should have gone to Cooper Kupp. I saw some discussion out there that, maybe you should give it to Aaron Donald, blah, blah, blah. Cooper Kupp, I think, earned it, and I was really happy to see him win it. Why is Donald getting praise? He's going against the worst offensive line in the entire league. Well, I mean, because basically the entire night he was getting double teamed. I mean, that's part of it. That's obviously part of it. But that first half, they did a really good job. The Bengals did a good job of getting the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands quick, which is exactly what I said they needed to do to have success. They got away from that in the second half. And Aaron Donald, I think, took over that game for that defense. Even if he wasn't getting sacks and he wasn't getting every tackle, he was involved and he was very impactful. So overall, not the greatest game I've ever seen, but definitely a game that I'll remember and an exciting game down the stretch. Whenever it comes down to, fourth quarter comebacks, things like that, it's interesting. Can't put it in one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, but I think it was a good game. The Greg for $5 says, who is more upset? Bengals fans getting robbed or all the Bloods having to watch fake Crips snoop and paid dancers throwing up signs and sea walking? I'm sure Bengals fans are pretty upset. Rigged for Vegas. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it was all part of the plan. That there was a referee that put something. There was probably a referee that put something on the ball to cause the holder to, really fumble that snap on that extra point. I'm sure it was. It was probably it. Probably it. And so many calls that so many missed calls that favored the Rams at one point, but then favored the Bengals at different points. So yeah. Prince Lethal for Aussie $5. Thoughts on Sri Lanka's batting? Seems aggressive for the sake of it, no reason to be. Probably cost them a game. I don't know what you're fucking talking about, Lethal. You're talking about other shit that is not football. You're talking about cricket. Shaka Caller for $5. Aaron Donald smoking that Cincinnati pack with Snoop in retirement. Now, there's a lot of talk about Aaron Donald retiring. I have yet to see anything official there. Has he actually called it official? I don't think so. Yeah, so there was news. There was reports that if the Rams win, Aaron Donald could retire. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams do kind of blow it up a little bit. I also wouldn't be surprised if Sean McVay is done. I know that might seem like a hot take, or could have been a hot take a few days ago, but the way he's talking about, I don't want to coach forever. I don't want to coach till I'm 60, stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like he's the kind of guy who might take a break for a couple years. I think he could take a break for a couple years. The face mask on Ramsey was nothing. It was literally a face mask. And he pulled him in front, which continued his momentum going down. Now, if you want to argue that would have been a completed pass or something, that's fine. It's not a touchdown if that doesn't happen. That's when people are just stretching, right? You're trying to justify what's going on in your head. Gabriel Knight for $5. I never realized how annoying the commercials and distractions were around the Super Bowl until I was emotionally invested in the outcome. The commercials are terrible. The commercials are fucking garbage, dude. Like, they are absolute fucking garbage. They have been for a decade. The commercials suck. Now, I did a video earlier. We can talk about this a little bit. I did a video earlier about the Eminem stuff. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Now, I'll be honest, and I talked about this in the video. I mean, I don't like Eminem. I think he's a woke piece of shit. When this happened at halftime, this isn't what I thought of. Now, there's a report that's out there about Eminem, that the NFL demanded Eminem not take a knee, blah, 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 all this stuff out there. I kind of doubt it a little bit, and I'll talk about why. I talked about it a little bit in that article. But these are the reports that's coming out from everybody today, people that love it and people that hate it. Eminem defies the NFL and honors Colin Kaepernick by taking a knee during the Super Bowl halftime show. And, I mean, I saw this when it happened, and I didn't think of Colin Kaepernick. I thought of Tupac, and we'll talk about that in a second. But this was all anyone could talk about last night and this morning in regards to Eminem. Eminem took a knee during his Super Bowl halftime show performance, a move that was reportedly in direct defiance of the NFL's wishes. They have rapper was joined by Dre, Snoop, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and Anderson .Paak, and a high-energy Pepsi-sponsored extravaganza that celebrated the soundtrack to all your Gen Z and millennial friends' college parties. Many of these artists' songs have bluntly and boldly addressed civil rights. Media reports in advance of the big game said Eminem had made the request to kneel to honor Colin Kaepernick, but was turned down by the powers that be at the NFL because they wanted to avoid a divisive culture war moment. That's why I have a problem with this. The idea that Eminem would ask for permission to kneel to honor Colin Kaepernick, that entire thing seems off. So that's immediately what got me wondering, because all these reports reference the same exact thing. I'm going to go here. It's going to take me to Barstool. Or no, sorry, this takes me to Bro Bible, which takes me to Eric Gardner. Eric Gardner, Eric with a fucking Q, right? Eric Gardner, Puck News. Now, Puck is this website I've seen one time before in my fucking life. It's behind a paywall. And he claims that there was a bunch of, behind the scenes, the NFL demanded he not kneel. The NFL immediately came out and said, we knew he was going to kneel. We didn't have a problem with it. We're not going to control who kneels or not. We don't really know what it was about, but we saw it a lot in the rehearsals. I don't necessarily believe the NFL, but I don't necessarily think they're lying either. And I guess the reason that I'm thinking about this is because of this. Dr. Dre paid subtle tribute to Tupac in the Super Bowl halftime show. And let me actually close this and reopen it really quickly so that I can actually share the audio. God damn it. I accidentally just pulled the escape key off my fucking keyboard like an idiot. So watch this. This is the exact moment when Eminem took a knee. And that's obviously the melody for I Ain't Mad At You here. And that's while Eminem's taking that knee. And that was just I thought he was just honoring Tupac. And when I looked through social media, a lot of other people were thinking that as well. But obviously, a lot of people think he's doing that for Kaepernick. I don't fucking know. He hasn't come out and said anything. I think some things are strange with the reporting that Eminem would ask to take a knee for Colin Kaepernick, ask the NFL to do that. The whole thing just seems weird to me. Now, I don't think Eminem deserves benefit of the doubt. He's a woke piece of shit. But at the same time, does getting paid by the NFL that supposedly victimized Colin Kaepernick and then taking a knee to honor him make sense? I don't know. I don't fucking know. But I did just want to talk about that because I saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of people talking about that. Kneeling doesn't honor Tupac. You don't think that like bowing your head to honor a legend? That's immediately what I was thinking of. So just being straight up, I think Eminem's a piece of fucking garbage. But Michael Jackson was the GOAT for the halftime show. Now listen, you can say a lot of things about Eminem, RB Dog. That's not one of them. You say a lot of fucking shit. That's not one of them. What was I gonna say? I see Blue-Eyed Scorpion here. It's actually Jeremy doing the Tebow. Yeah. Maybe he was honoring Tim Tebow. Maybe he was honoring Tim Tebow with it. Potentially. I don't know. Let me catch back up with these. Woke Hogan for 5. How can corporate suits pushing these Super Bowl commercials still think people like celebrities? Only blue anons like celebrities. I know, dude. I think especially like the Oscars or whatever this year are going to be the absolute most cringe thing in the world and probably the least watched of all time. And maybe it might finally start to click for people that people are done with the celebrity bullshit. They're absolutely done with it. Gabriel Knight for 2. Glad LA beat COVID based on all the maskless fans. I'm going to talk about that, dude. What a bunch of bullshit that was. 0 hour discussions. Eminem and Dre are a gay couple, maybe. What did I think about The Rock? I thought it was fucking cringe and stupid. And I'm so glad I wasn't paying a ton of attention because I was getting ready for my own stream, but I thought it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. 0 hour discussions for 50. Philippine. Eminem kneeling for a piece of shit. How ironic. Maybe he was. JT Gunter for $2 for a new escape key. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let me check Streamlabs really quick. Okay, we got that. Yes, let's talk about these fools right here. Celebrities defy COVID restrictions, go maskless at Super Bowl. Like, let's get this straight here. I don't think anybody should be wearing this. I don't think a single fucking person should be wearing a mask. It's bullshit. But the fact is, it was required at the Super Bowl. The fact is, they handed masks out at the Super Bowl. The fact is that in LA, children are still required to be masked at school. It's fucking insane. But not a single one of these elites, not a single one of these singers, songwriters, rappers, athletes, whatever, politicians, none of them were wearing their masks. You got Matt Damon right here. But here's Clay Travis. Let's watch this real quick. There's Jay-Z. Matt Damon. Charlize Theron said, don't be an ass, wear a mask. Just, earlier in this pandemic. Now, not so much. None of these fucking people are. LaBitch James. You got Benifer right there. No mask. And here's the thing. The rules are if you're drinking something, you can have the mask down. Not a drink to be fucking seen, not a mask to be seen. At least Emmett's drinking something. At least he's pretending. At least he's pretending. Who else we have here? I don't even know who the fuck that is. Chris Tucker. LaBitch. Magic. This motherfucker's got AIDS. This dude's got AIDS and he's not worried about it. Charlize again. Mark Wahlberg. God damn, he looks old as shit there without any makeup. Sean Penn. I think that's Sean Penn. It's tough to tell. A lot of these guys look so different when they don't have the benefit of all the Hollywood lights. This ugly man was here. This ugly man who might be popular. I don't know. God, look at that. Look at that. Ugh. There's The Rock. Hyped up the crowd. Yeah, all these fucking celebrities. All these fucking celebrities. It's disgusting. They hate you. They want your children to be fucking enslaved. And they don't want to wear shit. It's pathetic. Fuck them. Dude, the Rams only had 43 yards rushing the entire game. What the fuck? That's nuts. That is nuts. Now, there is something else to talk about. Tom Brown. We got the man Tom Brown, channel member for 11 months. Says way too soon, next year's Super Bowl favorites. Fuck. I don't even know what the NFC is going to look like. How about Bills in the AFC? Because I think the Bills are going to be really hungry. I think the Bills are going to be so fucking hungry after how they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. I do think the Bengals are going to be good. I think the Bengals are going to continue to get better. Doesn't mean that maybe they'll get as far, but I think they'll be a better overall team next year with another year for Joe Burrow, shore up that offensive line a little bit. But I don't think I'm going to pick them to make the Super Bowl because it just so rarely happens in current day NFL. The Bills, the NFC is a mess. Are the Packers going to have Aaron Rodgers? I think if the Packers have Aaron Rodgers, they will be the favorites, even as often as fucking Aaron chokes. I think you have to, if he goes back there, depending on what their cap situation is and how many people they can get there. I don't think they're going to keep Devontae Adams, though, so you got to factor that in. But I think if he goes back, they'll probably be the favorites, depending on who the Rams lose. If Aaron Donald retires, yeah, the Rams have got a big hole to fill. And then the Cardinals, their future's up in the air. Kyler Murray, bunch of drama going on right now with him. We're about to talk about that in a second. Who from the fucking NFC is going to be there? Dude, I can't even fucking pick. Let me look. I want to see Super Bowl odds. Super Bowl odds 2022. Let's look. Oh, no. Super Bowl 2023 odds. So right now they got the Rams, 49ers, Packers, Cowboys, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Minnesota, and then on down for NFC teams. So the Rams are the favorites to get back from the NFC, which, hey, I guess like if I had to pick a team, I probably would pick them because I don't think Aaron Donald will walk away. I don't know what this Odell Beckham Jr. is going to miss a lot of the season, so it doesn't really fucking matter. But Stafford's obviously there for a while. Coop's there for a while. I would have to pick the Rams by default because I don't know the status of Aaron Rodgers. Is Tom Brady going to stay retired? I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later too. Anyway, let me check some of this out. Breeze for $5. Great stream. Please support the Artemis program. Hashtag NASA. The Artemis program. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but we'll see. Thank you for the super chat. Deadly Penguin 5. Here's some change for some floor pizza. Oh, I would love some floor pizza right now, dude. I would love some floor pizza. OBJ isn't going to re-sign. Well, the thing is, I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to play for probably a chunk of next year. I'm pretty sure the dude just tore his ACL. So he's not going to be ready for training camp for the first little bit. So that'll affect a lot of things. Woke Hogan for 5. Watching LaFleur and the Packers GM grovel so much after trying to bring Rodgers down a notch by drafting Jordan Love is hilarious. Yeah. I agree. Bradley Burnett for 20. I was at the Super Bowl. No vax status checks. Almost everyone was maskless. Some were good sheep, but almost no mask by the end of the night. I didn't wear a mask, but I was drinking beer constantly. Holy shit, my credit card bill. That sounds like a blast, Bradley. I hope you had a good time, man. I hope you had a good time. Pretty crazy. And I know, guys, in the chat, you're saying, Aaron Rodgers under contract, Packers want to keep him. That's true, but it's all kind of depends on what Aaron wants to do. I think that if Aaron just tells him straight up, hey, I'm just ready to retire or be somewhere else, I think they will trade him. I think they will. But who knows? We'll see if he's able to force something like that into existence or not. But we do have to talk about the little man in the room. The little man, Kyler Murray. Now, over the past couple days, we've had a situation unfolding with Kyler Murray. I made a video earlier this week about it because all of a sudden, not only did he unfollow the Arizona Cardinals on Instagram, but he also removed all images of himself in Arizona Cardinals gear. And Kyler Murray, when he came into the league, when he came into the NFL, I had questions about his commitment level because I just, from his interviews, from things like that, he just didn't seem like a dude who wanted to lead a team or was really even that invested in playing the NFL for a significant amount of time. Now, I thought I'd been proven wrong because of what he's done the past 2 years and the potential that we could see from Kyler Murray. But something that stupid really had me like wondering what's going on with Kyler Murray. Especially, we had a report that Kyler Murray told Colt McCoy, I'm done, before the end of the playoff game that they lost to the Rams. And evidently, the Cardinals are having problems with them too. Murray, who scrubbed any reference to the Cardinals from his Instagram, is frustrated with the franchise, was embarrassed by the loss to the Rams, and thinks he's been made the scapegoat. The Cardinals have their own concerns about Murray, with sources describing the number 1 overall pick as self-centered, immature, and someone who points fingers. And maybe both of these things are true. But Kyler Murray actually addressed this just a few hours ago. This was 2 hours ago at this point. Look at this. Kyler Murray posts this, right? So a picture of him in his Cardinals gear, which he had wiped from his Instagram, makes this statement. I play this game for the love of it. My teammates, everyone has helped me get in this position that believed in me and to win championships. All of this nonsense is not what I'm about. Never has been, never will be. Anyone who has ever stepped between those lines with me knows how hard I go. Love me or hate me, but I'm going to continue to grow and get better. So, what exactly is he trying to tell everyone here? No mention of the Cardinals specifically, nothing like I'm committed to the Cardinals forever. So what is going on with Kyler Murray behind the scenes? What are the Cardinals looking to do? Have the Cardinals placed a bunch of blame on his lap? Now, I think that Kyler Murray is inconsistent for sure, but I also think that the offense that we saw the first half of this season was very effective with Kyler Murray. Once they lost that top passing threat in DeAndre Hopkins, I think the team got exposed. I think the team got exposed because they didn't have not many teams have another number 1 wide receiver. That's not something every team has. But I think it was shown that when a defense doesn't have to prioritize covering DeAndre Hopkins, it really allowed them to lock up some of those other wide receivers, whether that's Rondale Moore, who could definitely continue to develop, whether it's Christian Kirk, whether it was an old-ass AJ Green who didn't look very good this year. They struggled after that. And Kyler Murray struggled in that second half of the season. It was disappointing for them, for sure. I don't think that means the Cardinals should throw in the towel on Kyler Murray. I still think he can potentially be something good. But what is his commitment level? What does this stuff mean? Coming out after you unfollow the Cardinals, after you delete everything from your Instagram, coming out and saying, everybody knows how hard I am. I'm not about the drama, blah, 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 blah. Something doesn't add up. There's something going on in Arizona between the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, whether he's trying to force himself out, whether he's just trying to send a message, whether he's just pissed off. I don't know. But not good things if you're a fan of the Cardinals or if you're a part of that franchise, because what will the status be going forward for kind of the centerpiece of that team in Kyler Murray? I don't know, and nobody knows. RK's raking. Well, I don't know about that. Silver Axe for $5. Who wins more games next year? Your Bears or my Vikings? Your Vikings. Your Vikings. I just don't really think that I don't know. I have no faith in the Bears. I'm a Bears fan, right? Which means I never have any hope. That's the kind of Bears fan I am. So so Breeze for $20 says, no, seriously, talk about the Artemis program. Google it, fam. #NASA. Artemis 1 in 2022 will be an uncrewed test of the SLS, and Orion is the first test flight for both craft. The mission will place the Orion in lunar orbit, then return it to Earth. The SLS will use the ICPS second stage, will perform the translunar injection burn to send Orion to lunar space. Okay, so it's about going back to the moon, returning humans to the moon. Okay, I have heard about this before then. Okay, I have heard about this before. Yes, the Artemis program sending people to the moon. When is their first flight planned? That'll be interesting. Thank you, Breeze, for the super chat. Josh McDaniels. Yeah, at least we didn't hire Josh McDaniels. That's true. There is some hope. I wanted specifically to talk about a couple interesting stories from the Super Bowl as well. I wanted to talk about Eric Weddle. So I'll get into it here. Eric Weddle just won a Super Bowl with the Rams, and this is a dude who a couple weeks before this was coaching Pop Warner football, was sitting on his couch because he was retired. He was done. After spending the first, 10 years of his career with the San Diego Chargers and the last 3 or 4 with the Ravens, Eric Weddle had hung up his cleats. He called it a career until the playoffs started, and he signed with the Rams. And how crazy would it be to be done and all of a sudden just walk in there just for the playoffs, make some big plays, be an important part of that defense, and win a freaking Super Bowl. Eric Weddle tore his pec in the Super Bowl and confirms that he's retired again. So not only does this old-ass dude who's retired, and old-ass, probably like 36 or something, but Eric Weddle tears his pec in the first quarter of the game and just keeps playing through the pain because he knows he's going to be done anyway, going to have surgery for it, plays through the pain, ends up winning the Super Bowl with the Rams, and then immediately, first thing he says in the post-game press conference is, yeah, I'm re-retiring. I'll go back to my daily life. Pretty banged up right now, but well worth it. Well worth the moment. I would imagine. And that's his first Super Bowl ring. And I've always liked Eric Weddle. Thought he was a really hard-playing dude. Really tough-nosed guy when he played safety for the Chargers and then, of course, for the Ravens. So cool and interesting stories like this tend to happen. Tend to happen in the Super Bowl. At least they stand out in the Super Bowl. So very cool moment for Eric Weddle. Weddle Hall of Fame? I don't know. I'd have to see who's waiting at the safety position. I mean, Eric Weddle made what? Probably 6 Pro Bowls? I mean, how does a guy like Eric Weddle stack up to Ed Reed's career? I wonder. I want to look at that now. Hey, you got me intrigued. Yeah, it's such an important thing because, I feel like whether you're talking DB or safeties or linebackers or offensive linemen or quarterback or running back or wide receiver, there's so many different stipulations for these positions, and there's such a long wait list for a lot of guys for these positions as well. So it's kind of tough to tell sometimes. Eric Weddle's made 3 Pro Bowls. All right. What's Ed Reed careers look like? Now, Ed Reed has won a Defensive Player of the Year. Pro Bowl. So Ed Reed's probably about 8 Pro Bowls in his career. So what are their numbers like, though? Eric Weddle had a longer career. Let me look at these interceptions. 64 picks in his. I'll let you guys watch this. I don't know why I'm doing this. You guys can look at this too. So when we're looking at 64 interceptions, what about Eric Weddle? Only 29. Half. What about tackles in general? 900 and, well, let's do combined tackles. 1,179 for Eric Weddle. They're just different players, man. They really are different players, even though they both play that safety position. Ed Reed has twice as many picks. Eric Weddle has twice as many, tackles. What about forced fumbles here? 11 forced fumbles for Ed Reed. I have to imagine Eric Weddle has a lot more. See, only 8. So that's interesting too. 8 forced fumbles. I think Eric Weddle has definitely a shot to get in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think that he definitely has a shot to get in the Hall of Fame. I think he should probably be there. I would need to actually look. It's been a long time since I've looked at safeties that are in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Brian Dawkins made it first team, right? Or first year up. I'm pretty sure Brian Dawkins made it. Let's look at his numbers. Dawkins was a fucking beast too, but his tackle numbers are similar. See, now Brian Dawkins' numbers. Brian Dawkins' numbers look fairly similar to Eric Weddle's, although he forced a lot more fumbles. He forced a lot more fumbles. But yeah, interesting. We'll see. Leroy Butler, that's a good one. Hold on. Leroy Butler. See that, but the thing is, they played in very different eras. You know, I mean, I definitely think he stacks up easily to that. Had about 300 more tackles, comparable number of fumbles, comparable number of interceptions. Yeah, interesting. I think he'll probably get in there. I think he probably will. The Under Armour Gamer 45 says, thoughts on Ryan Nall? Kind of sad he's a bust. I'm a Beavs fan. I mean, I don't know. Like, I was never super high on him, to be honest. I don't think that he was ever. You mean Bears fan? I assume that's what you mean, right? Unless you mean Beavs, because Ryan, are you a Bears fan or are you a Beavers fan? Because I thought Ryan Nall went to Oregon, but maybe he didn't go to Oregon. Maybe he went to Oregon State. I never had any like hope for Ryan Nall in general. I didn't think he was going to get a lot of playing time because you got Montgomery there. So, I mean, what's really the point? I can't say I like paid a ton of attention to him, but I don't know. I guess I don't have any super big thoughts. I don't think he had a lot of playing time. So for those who don't know, Ryan Nall is like a backup Bears player. Whitworth is top 10 all-time O-line. Whitworth had a very good last couple seasons. A very good last couple seasons to make a push for that. So there's definitely a good chance. All right. Let's see. I think we're all caught up there. Let me refresh. All right, yeah, that's it. But guys, I do thank you. It's unfortunate, Jeremy's busy. He's got stuff going on. Robert's busy. He's got stuff going on. Unfortunately, we couldn't have a bigger party for the last Monday evening quarterback of the year, but this is it. I appreciate you guys showing up. We're definitely going to do this same thing next year as well. We may start something else. The next thing for me is college basketball, because now we're getting down to the nitty gritty, the last couple games in the regular season of college basketball. I've really only been paying attention to Purdue Boilermakers. They're my team. They're obviously having a great season. Had a really rough loss to Michigan a few nights ago, but we'll forget about that. But I'm looking forward to conference championships starting up. And then, of course, the NCAA championship, March Madness. We're going to talk about that here on this channel. And then, yeah, who knows what the future may hold. I'm sure we'll add another kind of weekly stream. I just don't know when it's going to happen. Excuse me. You missed Jeremy's reverse Hitler mustache. Yeah, I know, right? I know. Thanks to the weekly show. It's been great. It has been. It has been. But speaking of Jeremy, I think they're going live right now on, they're getting ready to go live for bragging rights, which I know a lot of you guys doesn't necessarily apply, but I know some of you it does. It's a retro collectible show that they do once a month on the main Geeks and Gamers channel, where Jeremy, Tommy Tron, and Dan Vask all compare their biggest hauls that they got. So I'm going to put that in the chat. If you guys want to go there, definitely go there and hang out with them. But for now, thank you for a great season of football and a great season of Monday Evening Quarterback. We'll be back next year with season 2 of MEQ. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the hell out of you, and we will talk to you later.